Morning. If you don't know, my name's Alexx Bailey. It was sophomore year in high school when my life changed forever. If you're not aware of what psychosis is, I had been Baker acted due to the loss of my sound mind. I found myself in a psych ward with a fancy diagnosis and a new daily dose of medication. It took some time to find reality again, but when I finally stumbled across it, I found it to be different, and I didn't like what it had become. The rest of my high school years became more high and less school. The world I found around me was uncomfortable at best and had me curled up in anxiety at worst. So as an attempt to numb my way through life, I self-medicated as if my prescriptions weren't enough, often joking that even the doctors didn't like me sober. As high school ended, I graduated with perfect attendance in all the wrong classes. Life seemed to only get harder, so my choice of drugs followed its lead. At this point, I had lived in my car, I had a gun pulled on me, I had broken, entered, and continued to pile up sins as if they were the stacks of money I had spent on my recreational habits. All of my friends weren't, and the closest thing to trust became loyalty among thugs. My paychecks ran out and eventually stopped coming. This was a continuing pattern as I jumped from job to job. The only one I could really seem to hold on to were the ruses I came up with at gas stations, the diabolical scams, my sticky fingers and quick feet. You see, the more I used, the more expensive it became, and the more expensive it became, the more I used. It got to be that the stuff I was doing, you don't quit doing, you die doing. One foggy night, as the sun began to make it morning, I decided I had had enough. I hit rock bottom and began to dig with my bare hands, drawing blood weeks ago. I hadn't slept, for I was busy planning, and I had it all figured out down to the rope. It was then that God had had enough. Instead of going through with my plans, I found myself the next day in an outpatient program, and in a month, I graduated with flying colors. Not only getting past my depression, but also sober. Before I left the group, I got a new job working full-time at $11 an hour, and I even managed to find myself someone to share this new life with. As time went on, we were renting a cozy little house with a nice backyard, and life could only seem to be getting better. Amidst my work on a day just like any other, I got a call. With no idea where I would live or even work, I put in my 2 weeks and prepared for my involvement in the Clearwater Corps. My relationship with God had been growing profusely ever since I so abruptly changed things, and a dream I had made it clear what God's plan was. The dream insisted I read Proverbs 14, and it was there that I found verse 4. Saying, without oxen, a stable stays clean, but with a strong ox is abundant harvest. There was not a doubt in my mind that this verse stood clear to me. My past, with all of its sin and darkness, was the oxen, making my stable of a life far from clean. But because of this ox, I could now harvest the abundant ministry God has called me to. My calling soon became even more clear when the very same week I put in my resignation, I not only found a place to live, but on Sunday was made of an opening here at the Corps that was not there just a week prior. Now engaged to be married, life seemed perfect. I was 9 months sober, my relationship with God better than ever, and I'd even quit smoking cigarettes. It was here, when I was finally comfortable, that the test and testimony was put to play. My fiancé that I defeated suicidal depression overcame drugs, and had for the first time in a long time made life matter with, left me. While it was very hard, God was surely with me. For in spite of such a great loss, I showed no sign of relapse, had not one cigarette, and I am now a year clean, even further in my steps towards officership. This is my testimony, that no matter what life throws, I will not be shaken. No matter who I was, this is who I am. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says that this means that anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new creation. The old life is gone. A new life has begun. Thank you, and God bless.